Do we have a theme song?
Yeah, Andrew wrote it in advance, and he was going to sing it for us right now.
I really hope we don't get sued. It's fine. I actually did a bunch of songwriting over the summer with a friend of mine, and now I have a SOCAN number, and she's recorded a couple of the songs we wrote. So here come the royalty checks.
Nice. 2 cents a year.
Welcome to Spittin' Silly, the commentary section. All right, so we'll spin in because we're all really good at starting things here, apparently. So this is welcome to the first and the free version of what we're currently calling Talking the Walk, and it might not be called that when I put a title on it, but for now it is. And what we're going to do today is we have Andrew joining Holly and us, Holly and I, us. And we're actually just going to sort of talk through the soundwalk we put out. Holly and I recorded it. Andrew wasn't there. And we're just going to share some of the things that happened and answer all of Andrew's questions. So, hi, I'm Matt.
I'm Andrew, and I wasn't there because my kid had a tooth coming in, and that comes with a runny nose. So we had to quarantine. I was super cheesed that I missed the hike.
I'm Holly, and I was there. I showed up a little bit late to pick up Matt because I set my alarm for 4 p.m. instead of 4 a.m. But we got there, and there was no one else there.
Yeah, that's sort of, I think, the interesting part of recording these things is I know originally when Andrew and I were going to do this, but that time Andrew couldn't walk because of a backpacking trip. We were having to leave at like 3:30 a.m. because it's close enough to Calgary that it's popular, and you can't really record a soundwalk if the place is full of people.
Unless you want the people sounds.
Yeah, and we didn't. So,
right.
Yeah, like Holly said, I could be saying, and I was there. I don't know. So, Andrew, do you listen to the walk? Got any questions?
I mean, I don't have as many questions as much as I have. Like, I wrote a bunch of things down as I listened to it in preparation for this. And it was like right from the beginning, I just wanted to hear a ton of water sounds. Like the second I heard one water sound, I just wanted a whole bunch more. And like the whole first minute was kind of weird. There was like all this thumping and this like cloth sliding, which very much had the visual of and the sound of, you know, like hiking pants, how they have like a particular material they're made out of.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like of those like sliding together, but it wasn't like, it didn't really quite sound like walking. So that I thought was like a little weird. And there was this one weird sound close to the end of the first minute of like rocks scraping against other rocks. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, so in the cave, I mean, that was hiking pants rubbing together that you heard. And then in the cave, it's not really walking. You're kind of clambering over rocks. And some of the rocks look stable, and then you step on them, and then they all
and
go tumbling.
And that's the sliding sound.
Yeah, but I'm going to be...
That was one of my favorite sounds in that cave was like the rocks, just like, it's just super percussive and like crisp sounding. All of the rocks just like tumbling down on each other.
Yeah, and I'm going to share it in the in the Discord, and if you're watching this, I'm going to just put it on screen. Some of the photos from it we got where I'm just trying to find them. Yeah, it's if you've never been to this cave, and it's cool because it's close to Calgary, so it's actually pretty accessible. There's so much like to interact with it in space. Yeah, it's like Holly said, it's really unstable. I'm sort of vamping as I'm staring to the side and I can't find the photos.
That's okay. I have actually a bunch more questions.
Do that. I'll find these.
Okay. So as it like keeps going, like from the first minute mark to the second minute mark, there was just like lots of like footsteps, but again, like not like rhythmic. It was like kind of random, and it was just like pure chaos. And listening to it, I just like felt like a little bit anxious, and I was like, I just want this to be like calm and peaceful, and I just want to listen to the water drip. And then I got that.
Yeah, so the second minute. So yeah, probably because you have to go pretty deep into the cave until you get to where the ice is. And because you're kind of climbing over big rocks and then going across like a bunch of unstable rocks, you're not just walking through a cave, you're like climbing and clambering and finding a good spot to put your hand to steady yourself, and then holding the microphone, and there's a lot of it is a little bit anxious, and you're wearing Yeah, and you're wearing a headlamp because it's pitch dark in there. So yeah, it was pretty slow progress making it back to where the water sounds are. Yeah, Matt put a picture up now that kind of shows it pretty well. So the light at the... I think, Matt, am I looking at this from the right angle? So this picture is... We're looking at a headlamp in the very, very center of the screen?
Yeah, so
from the mouth of the cave?
This is sort of...
This is very dark.
I'd gone into the cave. This isn't the photo I was looking for, but it worked because I got my Lightroom open. I'm about like maybe 20 meters or 25, 30 meters into the cave already. And this was just a long exposure from a tripod. So that's Holly quite far back, sort of in the cave. And if you could imagine, I can put I'll put it in the video here. I'm not going to be able to dig it up now. There's some overviews of the cave, like a caving map of it. Of the space, it's a, for what it is, it's a very, you go in and it pushes you right until it ices itself off. And Holly's probably, were you by the crawl space in that one, I think?
Yeah, I went, the crawl space that's just on your left.
Yeah, that scary little, like the hole in the wall.
Yeah, I think that's probably about there. You can go further than the crawl space still before you get to the big, like, ice shoots and stuff, but yeah, that's probably about at the crawl space. So it goes pretty far back.
Sorry, Holly. How dangerous is this cave?
Not very. You have all the usual sort of challenges, like getting up to it's steep. You are finding a trail. It's a fair amount of loose rock, but it's not like a scramble. It's scramble-y. Yeah, the worst part is like the 7K down the road.
Yeah, the hike itself is not a super fun hike because you're just on a utility road, like a gravel pathway past like little sour gas things and stuff for the first 7 kilometers, and it's just pretty much flat. And the most exciting thing is the cows that you come across, but then eventually, once you can see the cave, then all of a sudden you go into the forest and you're going up, and pretty much, I think it's about a kilometer, maybe less, of just ascent through the forest and then up into the cave. So the first 7 kilometers are pretty boring, and then the last kilometer is cool.
Yeah, and like when you're in the cave, it is super dark. Like, I know we shared a video on the social page in the trailer we made where I cut out my headlamp sitting in the back, and it's totally super dark. And I guess not to spoiler too much, but did you, Andrew, because you recorded the next soundwalk, did you kill your light? You killed your light in the document bunker, right? Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, it's just pure darkness. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, except that the like ground here isn't even and stable. And since we went really late in the season, a lot had melted. So you had lots of puddles. There's some slippery, but it's close. It's not that. There's no technical skills to get there.
Right.
And then the other thing.
To pull up. Sorry, Holly. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. The other thing that's I've hiked. I know Matt and I have both gone to this ice cave before, gone hiking, and I know one of the things that we both kind of thought was hilarious that we've seen so many times is people doing the 1K ascent up to the cave, and then of course being super hot and sweaty because they've just climbed up, I don't know how many meters, but it's pretty high up, and you're all sweaty, and so people take off all their layers to go into this cave. And it's an ice cave because there's a bunch of ice in it, and it's freezing. And I know, like, I was sweaty and hot when I went to go wander deep into the cave, and I think one of the things Matt probably had to edit out a lot was me sniffling every 2 seconds because I was so cold.
So if I were to Google this cave, what am I Googling to find out where I'm going to find this thing?
Canyon Creek Ice Cave.
Awesome. Okay, Matt, are you able to pull up the soundwalk?
You know what? I totally have that technology.
Right, because at the 4-minute 15-second mark, I heard like this weird doot.
Here, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I don't know why. Oh no, I see what I wrote down in my notes. So it was like doot, 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 doot. It might have been a bird or something, but it was you could hear like 4 of them, and then followed by like this doot. Or I thought it was 4 doots. It's kind of like a doot, I think. if I'm remembering correctly.
It might have been our two Raven friends that were hanging out with us for most of the morning.
Super jerk Raven friends. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where did it go? I'm going to pull up, and I'm not going to be able to patch in. I'll have to do this in post, so we're all going to have to
pretend that you made the sound.
Pretend I used the sounds, pulling back the curtains a little bit. So you said it was
4:15.
What was 4:15?
Yeah.
Let us. Oh, that's the wrong one. Why didn't I just open the audio file? Why did I open up Premiere?
Yeah, you've taken too many steps.
Sorry. Yeah, I actually know it is the Ravens. So that was this really interesting moment, and I can actually pull back the curtains a little bit on the edit here. There's the derp 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 conk. Yeah. There's that percussive hit. The doot doot doots are the Raven.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The two jerk Ravens. And I'll pull up the photo here of the Ravens stealing a microphone bag.
Nice. I did have a couple other spots.
Yeah, let me finish that one, though. So there's a doot, doot, doot is the Raven. Then there's a chunk of a rock slapping and a drip. And it all happened, really close. Yeah. And it was interesting because... So I'm going to pull back the veil a little bit. In the edit, there's 3 layers happening. We had one microphone in a drop kit, which we used in the document bunker too. So that was about 25 meters into the mouth of the cave, just capturing sort of the ambient sound. I also had another microphone at the entrance that was recording into the cave, but sort of just trying to give me some depth. And then we had our handheld. So there's a few, there's almost it's almost like a pinging sound every so often, like a slap ping, which was this bizarre water droplet that would drop every 30 seconds by the drop kit.
Oh, yeah.
So it
was a cool sound.
It was wild because I would listen back to my audio that I recorded in there, and so I synced everything up. So everything was synced, and I would listen in real time, and the handheld audio, I had no idea the Ravens came back because they weren't really there when Holly was in the cave. And then when I left, I guess they came back because I remember listening going shit, did the Ravens come back? And they were there quite a lot.
Yep.
But you could not hear them in the cave at all. So it actually was interesting for me to get to hear this entire other sound world that was happening while I was in the cave. So though in the walk, we're walking through the space, we tried to keep this ambient capture of the entire environment that it's in. And I think that's a moment where sort of all of the recording sources lined up at once to make this little trio of sound.
Cool. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 other spots that really stood out to me. Actually, all pretty close to the end. But before that, I just wanted. There was a constant static or rustling going on throughout the whole thing, and when I thought about it, I thought, could that be just wind noise? When you're outside, there's just a hum to the world, and it's is that just that, or is that just was that something that ended up in there through the electronic tools or process or something?
It's a little bit of both. There was, and that's sort of why it was there, is when I was editing and I was able to kind of confirm it on a few of the mics. When the handheld mic came back to the mouth of the cave, we got back some of the sort of, it's like you said, I'm assuming, I'm not a caveologist, geologist. There was some just mouth of the cave noise.
Like white noise.
Yeah, and it also crossed one of the frequencies, and I had to decide, did I want to EQ out this ambient noise or reduce the audio to try to blend it? So I tried to get a blend where there's a little bit of a hiss throughout, and it's a mix of some electronic artifacting and actually just some of the ambient sound at the cave mouth.
Hey, Matt. This is totally not required learning, but a caveologist is actually called a speleologist.
Ooh. Doubly wrong.
There's probably a common root word with spelunking and that word, which I'm not going to try to pronounce.
I probably pronounced it wrong, but
yeah. So
anyway.
So like, was it at 8:25? There was this really cool, like, huge footstep on gravel, like, and it was just like our big crunch to it. At 9:10, it got like super quiet again. 10:10 was really cool because it sounded almost like a plane was flying by, and that got captured. 10:20 was weird because it kind of sounded like it starts off and it sounded like a frog, but then like it repeats itself and it like kind of transitions to being like a dog sound.
That was the ravens again. They made so many cool sounds. Some of them we didn't really capture super well, but like all of the weird froggy sounds were the ravens.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're mimicking to the max. Here's what I do. I'm gonna record all of those moments you said. So let's go through them one at a time. What was the first one?
8:25. It's a footstep on gravel. It was just like classic crunch.
That is a good crunch. That's just like, because it's like you mentioned, there's that ruffle of the fabric and then a whoosh.
Yeah.
That's a good step. Yeah. Okay, what was the next one?
The next one was at 9:10, and I wrote down the word quiet. I was just like, it was just like nice, like there was like lots of buildup, and then it kind of came back down again.
Yeah, and I think one of those ones, I noticed it a couple times, it would happen when we had the handheld and we were facing towards where the cave ices itself off. And it cut so much ambient noise when you were sort of following the cut of the cave. It just got very quiet there. So I'm guessing I would have to cross-reference this with some GoPro footage.
That's all right. That sounds
I'm guessing it's a turn. Yeah, it is.
Cool.
All right, what's the next one?
10:10. And it was like like when you're out in the mountains and a plane goes by, which like now is like, I know you guys both do some backpacking, but one thing I noticed is on my last couple of backpacking trips, first couple of days, there'd be like 2 planes that would fly overhead. And in years past, there'd been like every like 20, 30 minutes a plane flies overhead, but now it was just like 2 for the whole day, which made it really crazy as we got closer to Mount Shark because they have a helipad there. And so it's like on our last day, it was just like every single like 20 minutes, just helicopter buzzing over top, which was also cool.
All right, so here we go. I'm playing that one.
10:10.
Yeah, it's there in the background. You have to actually like really listen for it. But yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
There's like that little drone comes through.
Yeah, and then in 10:20,
and then the ravens come back.
Yeah, 10 seconds later.
Yeah, the ravens. I just had that one in there too.
Yep. The last thing I had was at 10:35. There was a whoosh sound, and then like followed by some final steps, and it kind of like starts to kind of quiet away, and then like at the exact last moment before it stops, there's like this big thump.
Okay, I'm gonna cue that up.
Yeah, 10:35. 10:35.
Yeah, totally. And it's like the footsteps sort of close out the sound walk. As they walk away. Cool.
Yeah. And then there was that weird thump at the end.
Yeah. And the thump. Yeah, it's definitely like this is on, if you haven't listened to it, it's on the website, which is timepointensemble.com. It's available on Spotify. It'll be showing up on Google and iTunes soon as they process it. I guess before we do this, is there any final thoughts, Holly or Andrew? Yeah.
It's a podcast, right?
It's technically, yeah.
You can subscribe to it like any other podcast. So I guess however you do that would probably be a good way.
Yeah. They're saying that the only places we have it submitted are Spotify, iTunes, and it's sort of going through the process of getting it out everywhere. It's a bit of a grind. I guess, is there anything we missed from that space of note?
I think it was, I don't know. I think that the recording kind of really sums everything up really well. Like the cool sounds were the dripping and the irregularity of that, and then the rocks clanking against each other, and then the ravens, which I think was the unexpected factor for both Matt and I, was having the ravens come and hang out with us for the morning and be jerks.
That's still pretty
it was cool. Yeah, it was cool that we were able to pick up those things, because all of those sounds are maybe, and this is kind of the whole thing with soundwalks, but all of those things are not that spectacular on their own, or maybe not even that noticed, especially in a city. But when you're in the middle of a cave and it's mostly just dead silent, it makes all of those things really, really pop. Especially the dripping sounds just sound so huge and exciting, which is I think that kind of came across really well with the recording. So, which I think is, good on Matt for the editing chops. But I think for anyone who visits this cave, I think trying to find a spot to turn off your headlamp and to sit in silence for however long you can stand being in the total pitch darkness, it is a really very cool experience to hear and to actually take away all the visual cues and just listen for a little bit.
Yeah, and that's sort of, I guess, one of my things is the ravens also followed us out.
Yeah.
The whole way. Andrew's alluded to it, I spent a ton of time backpacking in the backcountry, and these ravens were class acts when it came to their ability to mimic sound. It was really interesting. I think the thing I love about caves and nature in general, even Andrew, you hit on it with the absence of air traffic this year, is mind blowing.
Oh, it's so cool.
When you're out there, I love the nature thing, because it's so quiet. And when you get in these caves, and this is me sort of, I guess, teasing what the next one is I know for Holly and I, so the next one we're doing is it's the Hart Creek bunker, or the document bunker. I forget the full name, but it's a man-made cave. It was supposed to be a document bunker during the Cold War, and it's so incredibly quiet comparatively to this cave, which is so loud. But it's the total absence of sound is strange, where you can hear your own. I noticed it more in the next one, where you hear inside your head more, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I have a pro tip.
I haven't reviewed the audio from that one, so who knows? Maybe it's full of terrifying things. And the only thing, I guess, a personal thing that I learned is you shouldn't review cave audio and video, because I synced up my GoPro footage just to watch it too. Don't do that at 2 a.m. It is to go through 3 hours of creepy audio with a video, and you're also going, I really hope I don't hear anything that I don't remember hearing. And there are some sounds, and you're trying to MacGyver, what was that sound? Okay, this was I could figure out the physical object that made it, but there was some. I went to bed one day and I'm like, this isn't cool. I don't want to go to bed. This is way too found footage.
And pro tip for anyone looking to get out to nature, Kijiji is a great place to buy used camping or hiking stuff that people bought and didn't use this summer.
Yeah. And I think that's another part. All these sound walks we're doing, the goal is to kind of reconnect to the physical place that we call home, right? Hole being our sort of home, being our through motto for the season is you can go to most of these places. We're not going anywhere insanely remote.
Yeah.
Yet. Yeah, that's all I got. The next one, we're going to be doing one a month, and sort of moving forward this, what we'll currently call talking the walk, September, all of the stuff we're making is free. I think like every other organization right now, we're trying to find a way to exist in the digital world and still make like content and, concerts. I air quoted since Holly and Andrew can't see me. We're everything we do in September is free. But starting in October, we're sort of launching a monthly idea that's actually less than a usual ticket to a Timepoint show. So we're experimenting with other things we can make. So let us know if there's things you'd love to see us make or whatnot. So just a thing to watch coming forward is we're doing a fully digital season, and that's interesting, I think.
And I was going to say something along similar lines. We have a lot of sound walks planned, or at least a lot of ideas. But if anyone listening has ever been in a situation where they've been somewhere and just been like, this place sounds fantastic or amazing or weird or unexpected, go ahead and get in contact with us and suggest places you'd like to hear in Soundwalk format, because, we all kind of have our own experiences and know some places, but I'm sure that there's people in the general public who know about some gems out there that we could totally explore.
Yeah. Andrew, final thoughts?
Hello?
Final thoughts from me. It was a cool sound walk. Felt like it was filled with a lot of anxiety, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I guess that part of like exploring the cave really came through in the recording.
Yeah, trying to not make noise.
Yeah, that was the most anxiety part. Like, you become so conscious. I was like, oh my gosh, these are the loudest hiking pants I own. And then every time you trip and a bunch of rocks go spilling. And every single movement you make is like amplified through the cave.
And I'll release, actually, I'll put it at the very end of this, the audio clip of the ravens stealing the audio equipment. Because you hear them like walk up to it, it's like scritch, 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 scritch. And then you hear them start to peck at the bag. And I had wrapped the lav mic around a rock thinking they're going to take the lav mic because it has a wind guard on it. Like it looks like a little pom-pom. They're going to steal it. And the frickin' birds, they took the actual bag that was holding the recorder in it, disconnected it from the mic, and were just walking off. And I remember sitting there, Holly's like, Matt, you hear it on the recorder? She goes, Matt, how much do you want that recorder or phone? Because it's an old phone. And I panicked because like there's the part of me that goes, I really need that. And the other part was, this is a really good photo. So I like frantically was like unhooking my DSLR from my backpack because I have one of those peak clips. And I was like, I got like 8 photos, and then it was like chase the birds down. But you get to hear this moment of them like sneaking closer and skittering, pecking at the bag. Holly asked if I actually want to keep my phone, and then it goes dead silent.
You're pulling at the bag. Hey.